Hi, and welcome. In this video, we're focusing on Cross 16. The primary goal for this pairing was to integrate some specific traits from Cross 9 into our Snow White line. However, the most promising Snow White male from Cross 9 also carried an additional Halfblack characteristic. While this wasn't ideal for our pure Snow White objective, the resulting offspring offer an opportunity to test an early assumption I made about the sex-linked inheritance pattern of the Halfblack trait in Guppies. For those new to the channel, I'm Ivan. This whole channel documents my long-term project to establish a stable Snow White Guppy line. I've even started building a website where I've included the entire breeding tree for you to explore. It's still a work in progress, but I plan to gradually add all the information I share in these videos in written format, along with some extra details I can't always fit into a video. Now, we've come incredibly close to our goal with Cross 11. However, I'm aiming for 3 consecutive crosses that breed true for Snow Whites, and the subsequent crosses introduced either hidden or undesired traits that were necessary to work through. This prevented me from achieving a brood that was 100% pure Snow Whites. Cross 16 is one of these pairings, set up between a Halfblack male from Cross 9 and a Snow White female from Cross 11. Cross 9 itself was a fascinating case with an overwhelmingly 85% male ratio and an incredible 16 different phenotypes within that single brood. While there were Snow White males, many lacked the strong iridescence and fully colored dorsal fins I was looking for. Luckily, we found one male from Cross 9 who did stand out. He displayed robust iridescence on both his topside and flanks, and sported a larger dorsal fin compared to most of his brothers. The main challenge was that he carried a Halfblack characteristic, which isn't ideal for our goal of a true breeding Snow White line. But for the sake of preserving the Cross 9 genetics and adding some much needed diversity, I felt it was a worthwhile trade-off, especially since if this was his only differing characteristic, pairing him with a Cross 11 female should narrow the offspring down to just 2 possible phenotypes, which is a huge reduction from the 16 he originated from. After selecting this male, I named him C9AM. In addition to his dorsal fin being larger than his direct siblings, it was also larger than most of the Snow Whites I've seen from Cross 11. I'm really hoping this trait passes to his offspring, which would be a huge advantage when we eventually integrate the even larger dorsal fins from our Red Rosetail lines. I've also noticed that as my Snow Whites age, their caudal fins can become a bit uneven. A cosmetic issue I also plan to address using the Red Rosetail genetics down the line. Unfortunately, our C9A male recently began pine coning, and despite my best efforts with medication, he passed away. Luckily, female guppies can store sperm for extended periods, dropping fry for months without a male present. So, I still expect several more broods from this Cross 11 female I paired him with. Now, let's take a closer look at her. As I mentioned earlier, Cross 11 brought us incredibly close to achieving a brood of 100% Snow White guppies. So, using a female from that cross for Cross 16 simply made the most sense to push us closer to our goal. The idea was that pairing her here would minimize phenotypic variation in the offspring to just Snow White or Halfblack Snow White, based on my analysis of possible genotypes. But before we dive into the specifics of that data, let's give this female her label, C11BF. The B indicates that Cross 16 is the second cross where I'm using a female from the same Cross 11 brood, the first set having been used in Cross 15. This Cross 16 presents a truly interesting opportunity to test an assumption I've been making about how the Halfblack characteristic is inherited in my guppy lines. I've encountered the Halfblack trait in several crosses, specifically crosses 1, 4, 6, and 9. For some quick context, in Bias's and Groenwegen's gene reference table, they list several genes that increase melanin in the caudal peduncle area. From reviewing their table, the gene that best fits what I've observed in my guppies is Nigrocaudatus I, which is described as a sex-linked dominant trait. Because it's supposed to be X-linked, we should see cases where only the females inherit the trait, and not the males. This specific scenario would only occur if we started with a half-black male, but until now, our crosses only involved half-black females. So we haven't had the chance to directly test if what we're seeing is indeed Nigrocaudatus I, until now. With this opportunity, let's break down the genetics a bit further. This will give us a clear lens to examine our data and determine if we are indeed dealing with Nigrocaudatus I. As a quick note, while other genes besides half-black are certainly at play in this cross, I've covered these extensively in previous videos, and most of them have been fixed or stabilized for this particular pairing. So to keep our focus sharp, we'll only be diving into the half-black inheritance here. Our C9a male expresses the half-black characteristic. Since we're assuming it's X-linked dominant, we can represent his genotype as XNI1Y. Our C11b snow white female, on the other hand, completely lacks this characteristic, so her genotype is X_ni1 X_ni1. By setting up a 2x2 Punnett square, we can predict the likely distribution of the single gene within their offspring. We'll place our C9a male's alleles across the top and the C11b female's alleles down the left side. Remember, each guppy's genotype is composed of 2 alleles, but they can only pass down 1 at a time, resulting in 4 total possible combinations for their offspring. The first allele our C9a male can pass is XNI1, which would create a female expressing the half-black trait. The second is his Y allele, which would result in a male. In the case of Nigrocaudatus I, this Y allele doesn't play a role in half-black expression. Our C11b female can also pass down 2 alleles, but they are identical and recessive, and the reason she doesn't express half-black herself. So based on our Punnett square, the C9a male is the only source of the half-black trait in this cross. This means our prediction is clear. None of the males should express any half-black, while all of the females should. If we refer back to the gene table I showed earlier, there's just one other gene strictly controlled by the X chromosome that causes a similar darkening, black peduncle. While its inheritance pattern would indeed mirror that of Nigrocaudatus I, certain nuances with the black peduncle gene ultimately led me to believe that Nigrocaudatus I is the best fit for what we're observing in our guppies. This specific inheritance pattern is actually really cool, and it should be quite easy to confirm. Our prediction is that all the males in this cross should look like regular Snow Whites, while all the females should resemble duller versions of their C9am father. Luckily, we don't have to wait for the next update to see if this holds true. I introduced the parents on January 2nd, and their first brood was born on February 24th. This means their oldest fry are now almost 4 months old enough to determine their phenotypes. Our C11b female has had 5 broods so far, though I wasn't able to save many of her 3rd and 4th drops, but I was able to save all of her 5th brood, which she dropped earlier this week. Let's go ahead and separate all our phenotypes to get an initial count for our distribution. I'll be excluding any juveniles that haven't shown obvious signs of their phenotype, but I'll update the overall numbers in the next video on Cross 16. So far, we have 14 males and only 5 females. Again, with this concerningly heavy bias towards males. This seems to be a reoccurring trend in my recent crosses, and I'm not entirely sure what's causing it. It's becoming quite challenging because it limits my selection of females for new breeders. One possible explanation is genetic, as the C9a male himself came from a brood that was also largely male, suggesting a potential link there. However, since I'm observing this across several other crosses as well, there could also be an environmental factor at play. In any case, it's a bit unclear for now, but I'm hoping it doesn't persist enough to become a major issue in the future. If it does, we'll definitely have to address it more directly. Let's begin by examining the 5 females we've identified so far. Every single one displays a darker peduncle and caudal region compared to their snow-white mother. This observation is perfectly consistent with our Punnett square predictions, suggesting they indeed inherited their father's half-black trait. However, these low numbers of females are statistically concerning. To make a more conclusive statement, I'd really prefer a larger sample size, which is why I'll be holding on to a few more broods from Cross 16 before drawing firm conclusions or moving on. Now, here's something particularly interesting about these females. If we zoom in on their darker tails, they appear to have more white disbursement than their mother, whose white is mainly concentrated on the lower and upper edges. I'm not yet sure how this is linked genetically, but it's encouraging to see a larger spread of white. This could potentially be the key to increasing white coverage in females in later crosses, so I definitely plan on keeping a few of these Cross 16 females for future breedings. Now, let's move on to the 14 males. Overall, these males turned out quite beautiful, with only 1 or 2 showing any deformities. Their iridescence is impressively strong, just like their father's, covering a large portion of their topside. Developing a line that breeds these snow whites 100% true is our ultimate goal, and these males are a very good indication of what's possible. They also appear to have larger dorsal fins compared to the males from Cross 11, which is a fantastic trait I hope persists. In terms of half-black inheritance, everything seemed consistent with our Punnett square predictions, but there's just one issue, and I'm wondering if any of you have noticed it yet. Based on our earlier Punnett square, our expectation was that every single male from this brood would be a pure snow white, with absolutely none inheriting the half-black gene from their father. So what's the deal with this guy? It would have been such a clean story if all the males matched our predictions, but instead, we have a single male in this brood who looks just like his C9AM father. This is completely unexpected. Granted, the half-black intensity is not as strong as his father's. Now, this could mean I was wrong about Nigrocaudatus I being the gene, but it's trickier than that. We know the only way the offspring can inherit the half-black characteristic is from their father. If this inheritance was instead Y-linked, the expectation would shift from only females expressing half-black to only males expressing it, which is clearly not what we're seeing. The only other simple case left would be autosomal inheritance, but that would mean roughly half of all offspring, both male and female, would inherit the half-black trait. And that's not what's happening either. This sole male anomaly represents only about 7% of the total males. Needless to say, I'm quite confused about the genetics here, as a more complicated mechanism is likely involved. I'm exploring a few ideas, but none are entirely convincing yet. One possibility I'm considering is a crossover event. This may be a topic I explore in a little more depth in a later video, so stay tuned. In any case, I'm under the impression that crossover events are generally rare, making it less likely in this specific instance. So, just like with the females, I think waiting for more offspring will be very beneficial in unraveling this mystery, if at all possible. So right now, the plan for Cross 16 is to simply wait for more offspring. This will help make any anomalies more apparent and solidify the true genetic trends. Despite that unexpected male, I still lean towards my original assumption that Nigrocaudatus I is the gene at play. But we'll see if more males show up with that trait. My current plan is to use a few of these snow white males to cross into the Red Rosetail hybrids from crosses 19 and 20. This will kickstart the process of integrating those desirable Red Rosetail characteristics into a snow white line. I also plan to use an additional male from this cross in a pairing with a suitable female from cross 18, which will be done alongside a reciprocal cross. These next few crosses will begin the next phase of solidifying the Snow White phenotype through something called spiral breeding. This wraps up our look at Cross 16 for now. So far, the offspring are healthy and the phenotypes are definitely interesting. It's great to be able to focus on just one characteristic as we get closer to our final goal. As you've seen, genetics can sometimes be unpredictable, throwing anomalies our way that force us to think outside the obvious assumptions. This project is constantly challenging our understanding, and that's what makes it so rewarding. If you're interested in seeing how this cross and the overall project progresses, be sure to subscribe. We have more crosses underway, and the focus of the next video will be on Cross 18. I'll introduce this cross in its first dedicated video and highlight the exciting potential of seeing the iridescent forehead characteristic reappear, not just through our male, but particularly within the females. Finally, let's wrap up with some quick updates on how our other crosses are progressing. Cross 17. I am officially closing out this cross. This cross never produced any fry, and over the last month, Thorn has not been doing very well and unfortunately died. Auxiliary Cross 2. The first brood from our pure breeding Red Rosetail backup line is growing fast, and they've already dropped their second brood. Crosses 19 and 20. Our crosses and reciprocal crosses involving Snow Whites and Red Rosetails are really developing their colors and maturing enough for us to start separating males and females. Interestingly, Cross 20 seems to have two unexpected phenotypes emerging. The C9A male featured in this video came from a particularly challenging cross to get off the ground, one that eventually resulted in a brood that was mostly male. If you're curious, you could check out the beginning of that original cross right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.